I just want to talk to you guys of staying motivated even when you're not motivated. Think about your why. What do you mean, Travis, when you say think about your why? Think about why you're doing what you're doing. We all have something called burnout, where you just get tired of doing certain things. You get tired of the repetitive and the mundane aspects of life. Whether you're a basketball player, a teacher, a doctor, a lawyer, a pediatrician, a mechanic. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Travis, and welcome to the IPH Theory. Also, I am one half of the Cultural Discussions. Please like, follow, and subscribe to both entertainment channels on YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be in front of you all. I have not really recorded anything since the end of April, and I have not uploaded anything within the last 2 weeks. But today's lesson is strictly about motivation and consistency. We all have something called burnout, where you just get tired of doing certain things. You get tired of the repetitive and the mundane aspects of life. Whether you're a basketball player, a teacher, a doctor, a lawyer, a pediatrician, a mechanic, whether you create content, whether you're a coach or a referee. But when it comes to my YouTube channel, I just felt like I needed a slight break. Now don't get me wrong. Whenever you take a break, I'm not just sitting on my couch and doing nothing. I just needed a break. I needed a mental reset. I've uploaded over 400 videos, and that comes with so much, setting up your cameras and recording and, pondering and coming up with your topics and brainstorming and exporting and downloading and speaking. And it tends to be a lot. I don't have a team. You are looking at my team. I record, I edit, I upload, I engage with my audience. And it can be tough on top of your everyday life. But hey, no excuses. If you want to be a content creator, it is basically a job. Not only that, I am not a controversial content creator, because if my channel was based around controversy, I can drop something every day. They got a lot of stuff going on in the hip hop industry that I don't even want to touch. You got some pages, they're all about drama. I'm all about trying to be righteous and speaking life and motivate and encourage. And I speak about the culture, you know, and I just want to talk about motivating yourself even when you don't feel like it. If you don't feel like repairing that car, but you're a mechanic, I'm pretty sure you need a vacation, and you should take that vacation. You need that refreshment because it motivates you. So like right now, there's a level of joy because I like talking to you all. I know some of you all are like, man, where's Travis been? And who knows, maybe you guys haven't even noticed. There's millions of YouTube channels out there, but I currently have 1,203 subscribers, which I am greatly thankful for. And we are on our way to 2K. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, you need to refresh yourself. Now, we're not robots. If you want something in life and you want to do it every day and you don't need a break, by all means, do whatever you do. It's your life. But I just haven't uploaded in 2 weeks just because I got kind of burned out. I got kind of irritated. I don't really know why I was irritated. I just stayed away from it for 2 weeks. But even when I was not uploading, I still wanted to upload, but I knew that I needed that break. I knew that I needed that refreshment because I want to stay consistent. I believe I've uploaded at least 414 videos. Now it's time to get to 1,000 uploads. I don't need that long of a break because let's be honest, this is not open heart surgery. This is a microphone. This is probably the most precious and beautiful podium that I've ever seen in my life. And I love standing behind it and speaking to you guys. But remember to stay motivated. There are going to be times where you don't want to do anything. You have parents that get tired of their kids. They love their kids, but kids can burn you out. I'm not a parent. I plan on being a parent one day. Wink, wink. But I just want to talk to you guys of staying motivated even when you're not motivated. Think about your why. What do you mean, Travis, when you say think about your why? Think about why you're doing what you're doing. There are some lessons that I will release, and then I'll look at the comments and people thank me for some of my lessons. I have a lesson entitled Men Control Your Lust. And I will leave the thumbnail here so that you can go check it out. And there was a time my father was like, hey, Travis, I really appreciate this message because I have sons and men, they need to control their lust. Your lust can get you robbed. Your lust can get you unalived. Now, men controlling their lust, that is not the topic of today. That is just an example of my why. I'll come up with the topic, people engage and they like it. And when they appreciate that topic, it motivates me. It inspires me. But at the same time, I need inspiration at times. I need motivation at times. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with taking a break, because when you take a break, you come back stronger. You come back more focused. And there's a level of focus. So, like I said, this is one of those lessons that I can talk about for 30, 40 minutes. But the main point is, even when you are not motivated, even when you are not inspired, think about your why. Think about why you do what you do, and think about the joy that it manifests and that it brings to your life. We all have purpose. But even in the midst of your purpose, you need a break. But ladies and gentlemen, I am refreshed. I am reformed. I am restored. And I am ready to attack these uploads. And, it does get hard. The more money I make, I can hire an editor. Like, for instance, video editing takes a lot of time. The hours that I use to edit, imagine if I hired somebody to edit. I'd probably give you guys 50 uploads a month. But bear with me if you are a fan of this page. And if you are a fan of this page, you're really a leader. I don't call you guys subscribers. You guys are leaders. Leaders follow the IPH theory. And I am greatly appreciative of you following and subscribing and engaging. Ladies and gentlemen, stay motivated, stay inspired. If you need a break, take a break. That's why we vacation. But the whole time that I was on my break, I was thinking about YouTube. So instead of thinking about it, just get up, throw on a nice shirt, pull out your podium and speak. Now, I don't see too many content creators with podiums. I didn't create the podium. There's many people that have podiums. I don't know that many people. But this podium is the best purchase of 2025 for me. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your time. Remember to stay motivated. Much love to you and your loved ones. Much respect. Whoever sees this video, I hope I inspire you to take a break and to come back refreshed to whatever your why is. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Travis. Have a great evening. Goodbye.